Carlos Nelson with Cascade Media Group, and today we're on our political channel, and we have one of our Kansas City councilmen on today, Mr. Wes Rogers, and he represents the second district here in Kansas City. And without further ado, the floor is yours, Russ, and you already know what the deal is. Back to kindergarten. Tell our audience who you are. Let them know who you are, and then we're gonna go into uh, what your platform is and talk to our viewers and your constituents about what you want to see take place for Kansas City.
Yeah, well, that sounds good to me. I'll just dive right in. So I grew up in Platte City, north of the river, elementary school all the way through high school. Went to college and law school at Mizzou in Columbia. Came back here. I was a public defender up in St. Joe for a year, and then I moved over to the prosecutor's office in Clay County. I was there for 5 years, the last two of which I was the chief deputy, so trying all the violent crimes for those last 2 years. My wife got a job out on the East Coast, so we packed up, quit my job, moved to Boston. I didn't think I was ever coming back. She was there for 2 years doing her training for her job and interviewed all over the country for her next stop. As a favor to me, she interviewed at Children's Mercy in Kansas City, and I didn't think she's from St. Louis. I didn't think she would pick that. And she calls me. I remember when she called me, she said, "Hey, you're never going to believe it. I'm taking the job in Kansas City," which is exactly what I wanted. It made my day. And so we moved back to Kansas City. At that point, my dad's a small business owner. He sells and leases commercial dishwashers to restaurants. I was going to start my own law practice at the time, which I did, but he had bought another small company, so I helped him with the diligence and getting the company transitioned. And then before I knew it, I just never ended up leaving. So I went from practicing law to selling commercial dishwashers, and it's been a good experience. My dad passed away last year, so now my brother and I own it and run it. And when I'm not at City Hall, I'm spending time with our family business. In the
What's it
last few
like?
years,
Let me
politically,
interrupt you for a
yeah, yeah,
second.
yeah, yeah.
What's this like? What is it like to run your own business? A lot of people don't understand what it's like when you're putting it
Mhm.
all on the line for your family and everything because you're spending your own money and your own. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. And I'll tell you, in 2014, when we bought that other small business, we used my dad, my brother, and I. My dad's passed away now, but at the time it was the three of us, and we used his existing businesses as collateral to go get a loan. So we go to the bank, we get this huge loan, more money than I'd ever seen in my life, to buy this company that we believed in, and we have to sign personal guarantees. My wife's 8 months pregnant with our first son. She signs a personal guarantee. She was trusting me to make the right decision on that, and so we did it, and we jumped in with both feet, and we started running the second business. And true story, that same day we signed that note, I'm back at the warehouse for this new company that we had bought. I'm sitting in the secretary's chair reading her emails and realizing, oh man, their customers did not like them. We knew they didn't like their customers didn't like them, but it was worse than I thought because they had hid some stuff from us during the diligence. And so I'm sitting there getting kind of freaked out that we're not going to be able to pay the money back, that we really made a bad mistake. And this is a true story. A guy comes in and asks us where the coffee maker is, and they had one of those fancy coffee makers that's hooked up to the water line. About 20 minutes later, he comes back and says, "You guys didn't pay your bill. We're taking the coffee maker back." So we got the very first day, within hours of signing that personal guarantee, we got our coffee maker repossessed. And so, I'm proud to say we're not going to retire anytime soon off the deal, but we made it a profitable business. We made hard choices. We got it righted up, and now it's a part of our business, and it's a profitable part of our business. But it's hard, and anytime, whether you're doing we do with dishwashers or whether you name the business, any small
Selling
business, it's that
pencils.
same
I've
thing.
been in business all my
Yeah,
life. I'm
I was going to
73
say
years old. And man,
you know as well as
broke
anybody,
out here.
buddy. Yeah, because you've lived it longer than I have, and it's hard to, unless you've been in those shoes, taking those risks for something that you believe in, with your entire livelihood on the line, with your kids counting on you to get it right. It's just hard to understand unless you've actually done it, which
So
you
now
have, so
what I
you
want to
you
do, I
understand it better
want
than
to
I do.
talk about how does that life experience transfer into the political arena and your representation of your community?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. So when I was doing that, I also served 2 terms in the Missouri State Legislature. I was in the House of Representatives for 4 years. And so when you're at City Hall, you're making decisions on every policy. You were talking about the water department. You're talking about, streets and sidewalks. You're talking about parks. You're talking about personnel issues. There's a million different things that you got to make decisions on. And you can do all the homework you want, but at the end of the day, you're not an expert on this stuff. The experts are the people that are presenting the options to you. And so I found it really valuable. I've got a background, as a lawyer, as a small business owner, and then also as a policymaker down in Jeff City. So this is not a job. Let me rephrase that. It's just helpful to have a broad range of experience, is what I would say. And being in small business, that when you're in small business, you are the human resources department, and you're the guy that's got to drive the forklift when nobody else shows up, and you're the guy that's got to go sell new customers. So, when you're trying to make decisions on all sorts of things in your small business, a lot of which you don't entirely understand, but you're doing the best you can with the information in front of you, it's not that much different than making decisions at City Hall every day.
So talk about your platform and what you want to see take place.
So the big thing for me is small business because that's again what I understand, and I love Kansas City as much as anybody I know. But I think we can acknowledge that we don't do things perfectly either. And one place where I think Kansas City could do a lot better is just being an easier place to do business. And we do, we've got dishwashers in Kansas and Missouri. We've got them in probably 30 or 40 municipalities. And Kansas City's the biggest, so anytime something's bigger, there's more paperwork that comes with that. But our processes aren't as good. Our fees are too high. It takes too long to get stuff done here. That's just a reality. And I think we've got a lot of people who care about our city who work here who do a great job. But I think they know that we could just be an
The
easier place to do
reality
business.
of
So
the
that's
situation. See, I used to own pizza restaurants,
well, you know
Goodfellas
that.
Pizzeria, and my godfather called the Capo Blesses. So they had Italian Gardens restaurant back in the day. And when you said commercial dishwashers, that's the first thing that popped in my mind, my godfather.
We had a dishwasher at Italian Gardens, and I remember right at the end, I was young when they closed, but I did a few deliveries in there, and I remember seeing some of those older guys, have to go to the back room to get the signatures, and I'm a 17-year-old kid, and they made they were nice guys, but they made it intimidating to walk back there and get that signature, and I
That was
remember
the
being a little
place,
bit
man.
gun shy.
So, with you being second district, what do you have to say to exclusively, basically? You representing all of Kansas City, but talk to your second district people.
Yeah, so second district's basically the Northland south of Berry Road. And the challenge there is we redrew the lines last year, and it used to be basically Platte was one district and Clay was one district. And now it's the southern older part is my district, the second district. And the challenge we've got there is most of the older infrastructure now in the Northland is all in the second district. It used to be kind of split up. So when we're making PIAC decisions, when we're deciding on what roads need replaced, what sidewalks need built, we've just got a lot of sidewalks that need built. We got a lot of roads that need fixed because we've got the older parts of the city in the second district. So it's mostly residential. I'll tell the second district folks what to be really excited about is we've invested a lot of money into the Line Creek Trailhead down by the Line Creek Community Center. So that community center needs a lot of work. It's the one with the ice rink. So what I would like to see is we've got three pieces there. One, we've got the Line Creek Community Center with the ice rink. They've got a crappy little swimming pool there too. Pardon my language, but I would love
It
to
is
either
what it
make that a real
is,
swimming. Yeah, well,
Wes.
yeah. So I'd either maybe we invest in that swimming pool, but what I would really like to do there is not tear it down, but expand it and put two full size NHL ice rinks there because that ice is full from early in the morning until late at night. That ice is reserved every single minute, every single day. So there's demand for that, and I would love to add another rink, and then we start doing tournaments, hosting regional tournaments, get some foot traffic into the Northland, which I think would be great. We just built a new bathroom by the trailhead to Line Creek there, and we're going to do a little bit more there. So it's a great place to get in and off of Line Creek. And then the third piece of that is the Northland Miniature Railroad just did a massive expansion. So by the time they're done, their track's going to be almost twice as long as it is now. There's going to be a new tunnel. There's going to be a bridge. So it's going to be a place in the Northland where families can go and enjoy all sorts of stuff.
So where are you at? Uh, we talked about on some other shows this new basic center that's going. I think 30 million, 25 million training for the trades and the different things. Are you?
Or the Northland Career Center?
Yeah, right. All
Yeah.
right. Where are you
So
at?
that's
Is that in your district or what's run it
it
down?
is. It's right on the line between the first and second districts. And I'll tell you what's cool about that. So when I was in the state legislature, one of the last votes that I took was for the state to give $30 million to that project. So I voted for that project when I was in the state legislature. And then Nathan Willett from the first district really did a great job championing the local match on that. He got us 25 million from Kansas City, but I got a vote on it there too. So I was the only person that got a vote on that as a state legislator and as a city council person. And the way that works now is we've got a pretty nice career center up north, but it's way north up in Platte City, and it's supposed to be for the entire Northland. So you've got kids from North Kansas City, Winnetonka, driving 30 or 40 minutes to get to this career center up in Platte City, and it's small. So there's wait lists for every possible program, and they've got they got auto mechanics, they got nursing, they got hospitality. So they're teaching these kids real life skills that can translate into immediate good jobs right out of high school. And there's a demand for it that we can't meet right now. So what this Northland Career Center is going to do is more than double the capacity, get the Northland Career Center close to where the kids that actually go there are, and we're going to let it rip. And it's going to be really good for these kids. And there's going to be a lot of good jobs
I
created
think
from it.
I think because you might not know this. At one time, I used to own the second largest black general contracting company in Kansas City,
I didn't know that.
and I renovated the courthouse downtown, courthouse. And this was in the '80s and early '90s. Did a lot of work for Crown Center Redevelopment Corporation. So uh, back then, you this was really a union town. But since then, non-union and what have you. But my the point I'm trying to make is we don't have these tech centers now, and we everybody doesn't want to go to college, and mechanics and the different things, uh, the way society is breaking down, and especially now that things have changed as it relates to our president with these deportations and what have you. I'm saying there's going to be a lot of opportunity. I don't have no chance of changing president's mind or anybody else, but whatever how things are shaping up, you work within the system and see what you can get. And I think that center is going to change a lot of lives over the next decade or so.
Will. And like I said, those kids are going to graduate from high school and they're going to have a chance. They're already going to have skills that they can turn into really good jobs. The other thing that we're going to be able to do at that career center that we can't do now is some adult training too. So we'll get some adults that need some additional training in there, train them up and help them find good jobs too.
So, how important now, on another level, is it for you to get a coalition with the rest of your city council uh, compadres?
Yeah, so I'll tell you, I came from the state legislature where it's partisan, Democrat, Republican, and I absolutely hated that because it just got in the way of actually getting work done. And what I've found, and I've heard this, I don't know if it's true or not, but I've heard that our council gets along better than the council has in quite a while. I will say there's a wide spectrum of beliefs on the council for sure, but including the mayor, the 13 of us, I like the 12 other people I work with. I respect every single one of them. And if you want to get something done, they're all open-minded. And if you can make your pitch and convince them it's good for the city and good for your district, you can normally find the votes. And I feel the same way about my colleagues. When they've got something they believe in and they make a good pitch, I don't care if it's east or south or someplace far from the second district. If it's good for the city, let's do it. And I think most council people share that attitude right now, and it's a good council to work
That
on
was the
because of that.
attitude my godfather called the capo put in me when I was a young man in the '80s. He helped me and everything. And as I got successful, I was doing something. And he said, Carlos, don't make me come over there and smack you in your head. If it's not good for Kansas City, you got no business doing it.
Mhm.
And when you made that statement, what's good for Kansas City, that flew right back into my mind.
Well, now that you say that, I'm picturing going back into Jack Bonden's office trying to get a signature from him back there. And man, I mean, those guys, they all loved our city, that's for sure.
Yeah, Jack smoking his stogie,
Yeah.
looking like the white version of Don King with that hair.
Yeah, well, yeah, with that big hair, and I'm 17 years old off the farm in Platte City, wondering what, this is a different world down here. It was scary to walk in there.
Yeah. So, in closing, what would you have to say to our community?
Yeah, Kansas City's at its best when we all work together, and again, I think this council does a good job of that. But we got a long way to go. The World Cup's coming up. I keep telling people that's got to be the beginning, not the end. We can't do all of these things right now just to have a successful World Cup. What that World Cup needs to be is the catalyst to that next chapter in Kansas City's future. And we've got, the riverfront's getting built up. We're redeveloping the West Bottoms right now. UMKC just got a great research designation that's going to lead to a bunch of investment in our city. The streetcar is going to be a spine now going all the way down to 51st Street. And I don't want to stop there. I want to keep on going further south from that. So stick with us. I think we're just getting started. I think there's going to be a lot of good things happening.
All right. As we always say in closing, when you invest in your community, you're really just investing in yourself. Good day.
This is brought to you by Kansas City Business Association, working to improve our community.